Good morning. Somebody else said it. What a nice, what a special weekend. Daniel and Mabel aren't here. No, I was gonna ask him, how'd you like that wedding yesterday? And then I was gonna say, I'll be like Robert Kane and ask you, what'd you think of it on a scale of 1 to 10? And then I'd tell the people on the video, he said 10, which he would have said, and then I'd have said, how would I have said it? Would you say it was the best wedding you ever been to? And he'd have said yes, and then I'd have told everybody on the video that he said yes. But I'm going to read Psalm 25. To you, O Jehovah, do I lift up my soul. O my God, I trust in you. Don't let me be ashamed. Don't let my enemies triumph over me. Indeed, let none that wait on you be ashamed. Let them which transgress without cause be ashamed. Show me your ways, O Jehovah. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. For you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day. Remember, O Jehovah, your tender compassion and your loving kindness, for they have been from of old. Do not remember the sins of my youth or my transgressions. According to your mercy, remember me, for your goodness' sake, O Jehovah. Good and upright is Jehovah. Therefore he will teach sinners in the way. He guides the meek in judgment. He teaches the meek his way. All the paths of Jehovah are mercy and truth unto such as keep his covenant and his testimonies. For thy name's sake, O Jehovah, pardon mine iniquity, for it is great. Who is the man that fears Jehovah? He will teach him in the way that he chooses. His soul shall dwell at ease, and his children will inherit the earth. The secret of Jehovah is for them that fear him, and he will make them know his covenant. My eyes are continually toward Jehovah, for he will pluck my feet out of the net. Turn unto me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. Oh, bring me out of my distress. Look upon my affliction and my pain, and forgive all my sins. Consider my enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with cruel, violent hatred. Oh, guard my soul and deliver me. Let me not be ashamed, for I put my trust in you. Let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on you. Redeem the one who struggles to hold on to you, O God, out of his troubles. Hopefully I'm not going to talk too long this morning, but I want to I want to tell you guys about the girl that I should have married. And I won't leave you in suspense too long. Her name was Florence, and it still is. And I met her, I'm 46 now, so I met her 26 years ago in Oklahoma City. We were going to Bible college, and she was special. She was not like the other girls. I was a lot of these people grew up in church, and so they were kind of used to it and stuff. And I was this fresh out of the world guy, and so I was real sober and real serious. And it really bugged me how all these people that were a lot more exercised in Bible stuff were dabbling in the world and stuff. But this one girl, she wasn't. The boys and girls would talk together, but she didn't talk to the boys. There was this place called the Fellowship Hall, and they would gather in there and talk. But if she had an off period where she didn't have classes, you'd find her in the library studying or reading her Bible. And there was like dress code standards, but it seemed to me like the girls would always try to just push the limits of the standards, right, wherever the length was or whatever. But not this girl. She was a modest girl, and she was special. So we had this thing in Bible college where everybody was called to be a preacher or called to be a missionary, and then if you were called to be a missionary, there was a lot of people called to be missionaries. You were called to a certain place, and there'd be announcements at the end of the church services, church meetings, and they'd say, "Oh, pray for so and so. God called him tonight to go to Mexico, or God called him tonight to go to Africa, or whatever." And as soon as you got your calling, then you got a flag and you put it up on your wall, and you got a T-shirt and you wore that around. And everybody knew you were called to whatever country you were called to, and if you didn't know what country you were called to, if you surrendered, if you were called to missions or surrendered to missions, you didn't know where you were called. There was like this pressure, like don't you hear from God? Hasn't God told you where to go yet? And I was always real troubled about that. Anyway, I think even before I got there, Florence, I'm not sure if she would have said she was called to Brazil or surrendered to Brazil, and I wanted God to tell me where I was called to. I wanted to do whatever He wanted me to do, but He never called me to a specific place. And we used to. I don't think I ever saw it, but I heard maybe before I got there that, like at different times, like a boy would get called to a country, and then the girl he was dating would get called also to that country. And we'd roll our eyes, and then they'd break up, and then she's not called to that country anymore. And we, the spiritual ones of us, didn't think highly of that, and so I really wanted to respect this thing. Florence was called to Brazil, and I just left her alone. I really liked her, and so I ignored her. What else are you supposed to do with a girl that you like? And I didn't know it, but she liked me too. I mean, we both thought we hated each other. We just completely ignored each other. So she had met this couple, and she thought they were just perfect for each other. And she said, "Oh, they go together like peanut butter and jelly." Who likes peanut butter and jelly? Raise your hand. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, right. It's just this perfect combination, right? Anyway, she said, "Oh, they go together like peanut butter and jelly." And when Florence was growing up, her mama always used to. Sorry, her mama used to always call her Flora Jelly, and so she used to always pray for her future husband. She had this little diary that she'd keep. And she put it, and she'd call her future husband. She didn't know who he was yet. She called him her Peanut, and she'd write her diary entry for the day and said, "Oh, and Lord, bless my Peanut." And I used to look young for my age. And she saw me do something one time. She was real impressed with it, and she said to herself, "Oh Lord, I hope my future husband can be somebody like Buddy, but not Buddy." She thought I was too young for her. I'm actually a little over a year older than her. But let's see. And I didn't know it at the time. We had this fundraising opportunity, and we could buy these bags of peanuts for $1 and then sell them for $2. And I used to sell a bunch at my work, and guys would wait for me, and they called me the Peanut Guy. I had a toolbox, and it said Peanut Man. They called me the Peanut Man. Yeah, and I wrote Peanut Man on my toolbox. I didn't know about this thing, and we had bus routes. We'd go pick up all these children, and and we'd always be trying to have them treats and stuff for them to come, and so there was always candy. We'd buy candy, and then we had leftovers. There was always candy all around, and I don't know if they have it around here or if any of you guys have ever heard of it, but there was well, I'll tell you in a second. Anyway, so one time she wrote in her, I think something like, she wrote in her journal for the day, and she asked God, "Oh God, who is my Peanut?" And there's this kind of candy. It's called Peanut Buddy. I've seen them around sometimes, and it was there on her desk, just around, because there was just candy all around in the dorms. And she looked over, and there it said Peanut Buddy right there. And I mean, if that doesn't settle it, I don't know. I don't know what hearing from God is, I guess. Anyway, I used to really want to get married pretty badly. And I used to think about marriage all the time. I used to think about who I was going to marry. I had this, like, not really, but kind of in my mind, I had this secret checklist of all the girls that had potential, and I'd see them act a certain way or do something, and they'd get points. Like, there was one girl, and her parents liked me, and so she got points for that. And I heard some girl talk rudely to somebody else, and she'd get off the list for that, or lose points for that, or she'd start dating another boy and get off. Anyway, I had this list, and Florence wasn't even on the list because she was just out of my league. She was a guy one time asked me, "Buddy, who you interested in?" And I listed off like a girl or two, and then finally I said, well, I mean, if you really want to know, it'd be Florence Muccatelli, but that'll never happen. Like, she's way out of my league and not interested in me. So I was really interested in marriage. Anyway, I felt like I thought about it too much, and so I just had this time, and I just like, as they say, surrendered it to God, and I said, I just want to focus on you, Lord, and I don't want to be thinking about girls and who I'm going to marry. So I did it, and I really think in my heart I was able to do that. And then immediately, this guy that he had talked to me before and asked me who I was interested in, and I told him Florence. He came up and he said, "So have you been praying about Florence?" And I was like, "Oh, well, funny you should ask." I said, I just recently, I surrendered thinking about marriage and thinking about a wife. I just surrendered that to the Lord. I'm not thinking about that. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, totally, yeah. Give yourself to the Lord." And I was like, man, right, thanks for bringing it up, though, And then my friend John Bryant, just out of nowhere, like all within a week, my friend John Bryant says, "Say, buddy, what you should do is you should go talk to the preacher about dating Florence, because there was this whole thing about her being called to Brazil, and I didn't want to mess with that, have her all of a sudden not be called to Brazil anymore, or me all of a sudden be called to Brazil." And he said, just go talk to the preacher, and if the preacher says you can do it, then you have his blessing. It's like basically from God. And if he tells you not to, then you don't. Either way, you have peace, one way or the other. And I was like, man, that is a really good plan. But I just surrendered this thing to God, and I'm not thinking about marriage. But thanks for asking. And there was this girl on my night route that I was good friends with. Her name was Michelle Estel. And she had been friends with Florence, and she was friends with me. And anyway, one day, for some reason, me and Florence's relationship or whatever annoyed her or something. But she kind of knew that we both liked each other. And one day, we had this room called a piano room, where people could practice piano, and Florence was in there practicing piano. I think I didn't know, I'm not sure if I knew it or not. I don't think I even knew it. And I was standing outside the door, sort of in this hallway area. I was waiting for somebody, and I was just daydreaming. And this girl, Michelle, sees me, and she thinks that I'm sitting there like listening to Florence play the piano. Just, oh, my dream girl. And but I wasn't. I think I didn't even know she was in there. And she's like, "Oh, buddy, just go ask the preacher if you can date Florence and get it over with." And I was like, what? Like within just a couple days of each other, this thing. And I was like, sorry if this is strange. I don't tend to think this way, but at the time I was like, are you telling me something? Like, is this that thing in the Bible where when somebody lets go of something, God, gives it back, or somebody's willing to do something, God says, okay, I was just seeing if you were willing, you don't actually have to. And so I just determined, okay, I'm just going to go talk to the preacher, and whatever he says, that's what I'm going to do. And they had this thing where you could go talk to the preacher every Saturday morning. People would line up outside of his office to try to get counsel from him. And I prayed just real fervently the night before. I was on my knees in front of my bed, asking God, please to speak. I said, I'm going to do whatever that the preacher says. Please speak through the preacher. Tell me what to do through him. I'm going to do whatever he says. Please speak through him. Okay. And then I was about done praying, and this really strange thing came to my head, and before I even knew what I had done, I asked God to give her to me, which is a strange thing to pray. I asked God to give me a person, and I kind of realized it as I said it. And then it wasn't an audible voice, but I thought I heard in my head the words, "She's yours." And immediately I said, "Was that you or was that me?" And I was like, "Did God just say she's yours? Did I just make that up or did you do that?" And I wasn't sure. And anyway, I went in the next day and I talked to the to the preacher and I told him the whole Brazil situation. And he said, "Well, if I give you permission to date Florence and you guys get serious, are you willing to surrender to Brazil?" And I said, "Well, sure." I said, "But that'd be like me following her, like isn't the man supposed to lead? Like, wouldn't I be a sissy if I did that?" And he was this real tough guy, ex-special forces guy. He's always talking about how tough he was. And he was. And he said, "Buddy, have you ever heard me say how my wife started following God before I did, and I had to learn from her and follow her?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Do you think I'm a sissy?" And, of course, I said, No, sir." He said, "Well, okay." And I think I even said again, like, "Are you sure?" And I was kind of scared even when I said it. I thought he might be harsh with me, but he was real tender. And he said, "Buddy, as I'm sitting here right now," and I can't remember what all he said and what I kind of just, how I interpreted it, but he kind of said, "As the man of God, I'm right here, but like as I'm praying to God, asking him what I should tell you, that is what I think I should tell you." And it kind of like reminded me like, oh, I prayed last night for God to speak through this man. And I said, "Oh, okay, there it is." And told a couple people and went. I don't even know if I asked Florence. I think I just kind of went and told her. I talked to a preacher and he said we could date. So, and I don't believe in dating actually. So we're pretty much engaged. And she was okay with that. And it was about 2 years. I'm not sure. You can ask her. But till that we were kind of courting or dating or whatever. And then I left Bible college. I got convicted and I left Bible college. And she was told to ditch me, to dump me, and not to talk to me anymore. And we didn't have any communication. I left in the spring and we didn't talk through the whole summer. And I thought about her a lot. And I thought, at one point she went to visit her family in Boston, and I almost just hitchhiked to Boston to go try to talk to her. I kind of felt like if I could just talk with her, if I could just reason with her and show her. They were telling her that I'd fallen away from God, and really I was following God in a more sincere, deeper way. And they were misrepresenting things, I thought, and I just wished I could talk to her. Anyway, some circumstances opened up. I had kind of gotten a phone plan at one point, and she was using the phone, and then I left, and that was kind of a thing. I think she was either trying to give me the phone back or ask me if I still wanted it or something. Anyway, at some point she communicated with me. There was like 3 times that we communicated, and all 3 times it didn't go well. It was just really clear she was going a different direction, and it troubled me so much. And I used to tell my friend about her and how much I liked her and wanted to marry her. And it got to the point like he told me, "Buddy, don't talk to me about her anymore. I don't want to hear about her anymore. Like, you're going a different direction. I don't know what your problem is. She's not good for you. She's not. You guys don't get along. Just stop. Don't talk to me about her anymore." And so this was the thing. And at one point I had this conversation with her on the phone, and it just went really badly. And I got off the phone, and I went to this room I was staying in, and I got on my knees, and I was on this kneeling down on this bed, and I was like, "Lord, why can't I be like other guys? Why can't I say, okay, well, she's obviously not the one. I just need to move on to another girl, or say, okay, this isn't working out. Like, why am I so troubled about her? Why can't I just say, okay, enough of that, and move on to something else?" And as I was sitting there praying, I heard this little thought came to my head. I don't know if it was God, but it said, "She's yours." And before I even could think about it, I said, I said, was that you or was that me? And then I realized that I'd said the same thing that I'd said way back in the dorm room, and I started laughing. And I was like, man, that was God. And she gave her to me, and that's why I'm so troubled about her, because, and that's why I can't give up on her, because I asked her for her, and he gave her to me, and she's mine. And even though it's difficult, like, she's mine now. Anyway, one thing led to another, and she left, and we got engaged. And during our engagement, we had lots of difficulties. We've just had lots. We've really struggled in our relationship even before we were married. And the one of the guys that was the older men, when we were all together there, said, he said, you guys are going to have a real hard marriage. He was basically like, they thought we should not get married, but it was just clear that we were going to anyway, and so they just kind of said, well, you guys are going to get married with or without our blessing, so we'll just try to bless you best we can. And he said, you guys are going to have a real hard marriage. And he said, but if you love the Lord and you stick it out, it'll work out. And I said, well, that's close enough to a blessing for me. And and anyway, I still believe that's true. If we love the Lord and can stick it out, that it'll work out. My wife and I are having some serious struggles right now, and if you'd think to pray for us, I'd really appreciate it. Or if you're watching the video. Anyway, with all marriage, with the marriage yesterday and stuff, just really had me thinking about these things. And then the baptism today, what a blessing. I just wanted to share that with everybody. It's a true story. I hope.
Brother Buddy, yeah, thank you so much for just opening your heart, being vulnerable and sharing that with us. I was really touched by hearing that. And yeah, I pray the Lord that he'll bring her back. Don't really have much more to say than that, but I just really appreciate you sharing that. It's very, very moving. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother, for sharing those things. That's a sweet blessing to hear. I think I've heard that testimony before, but it was really sweet to hear it again. I really appreciate you just bearing your heart open before everybody and being transparent and giving testimony of, working through how to hear the voice of the Lord and if you did or not. And I appreciate the love that you have for your wife that you just put on display. And yeah, God bless you and give you strength to carry on. Love you, brother.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. I've heard probably most of that sometime before too, but the phrase that always kept coming to my mind is God moves in a mysterious way. And though his purposes don't unfold fast, they do unfold. And I keep praying that that's what'll happen.